Have you ever noticed how the weather inside your own mind seems to change, like, all the time? Well, today, we're diving into an ancient framework from yoga called the gunas. Think of it as a powerful map for understanding all those inner shifts, kind of like your own personal mind weather forecast. You know exactly what I'm talking about, right? One day, you're just crushing it. You're clear, you're productive. And the next, you're fighting through a thick brain fog, or maybe you feel like a hamster on a wheel, just spinning and getting nowhere. This inner weather is something every single one of us deals with. And a lot of the time, it feels totally random and out of our hands. But what if it isn't? And this is exactly where yoga psychology hands us a map. It's called the three gunas. And look, this isn't some dusty, abstract philosophy. It's a really practical, hands-on tool for recognizing and actually working with these fundamental tendencies in our minds. All right, so let's unfold this map together. We're going to start by getting to know the three essential qualities that basically color our entire mental and emotional world. Okay, first up, we've got sattva. Sattva is the quality of clarity, balance, and equilibrium. When sattva is the main flavor of your day, your mind just feels steady. You have this amazing capacity to kind of pause and respond to life thoughtfully instead of just flying off the handle. It's that feeling of being totally centered and aware. Next, there's rajas. Now, rajas is all about the energy of action, passion, and movement. And we need rajas. I mean, it's what gets us out of bed in the morning and helps us get things done. But when you have too much of it, it shows up as restlessness, thoughts that just loop, and that feeling of being constantly on. And as you know, that can lead straight to burnout. And finally, we have tamas. This is the quality of inertia, of heaviness, of withdrawal. Now, it is so important to understand that tamas is not laziness, not at all. It's more like a state of low activation, that mental fog or procrastination that tends to show up when we're just completely exhausted or depleted. Now, here is the absolute key to this whole thing. You are never just one of these. Every one of us has all three gunas inside, and their balance is constantly shifting. It changes based on our sleep, our stress levels, the food we eat, our daily routines. They're dynamic energies, not some fixed personality label you're stuck with. This little table here really breaks down how these tendencies can show up in our day-to-day. So if you're in a more sattvic or clarity-led state, you'll probably notice your attention is steady and you're making choices based on your values. If you're more rajasic or action-led, you've got that high drive for sure, but maybe also those restless, looping thoughts. And in a tamasic or inertia-led state, that's when mental fog and procrastination really take the wheel. Can you kind of see where you might be landing today? So, how in the world do we figure out which tendency is dominant right now? Well, this next part is like a compass for your mind. It helps you find your current coordinates on that map. A Gunas quiz is just a simple self-assessment tool. It's designed to give you a snapshot of your mental operating mode, not for your entire life, but really specifically just over the last 2 to 4 weeks. And that's what makes it so incredibly useful. And this quiz isn't looking at some vague, abstract stuff. Nope, it's observing real-world things. Your attention span, how you're reacting to stress, the quality of your sleep, and yeah, even your coping habits, like how much time you're spending on screens. Okay, it's just as important, maybe even more important, to be super clear on what this quiz is not. It doesn't measure your intelligence or your moral worth. It is absolutely not a psychological diagnosis. And this is the big one, it does not define who you are forever. And that brings us to what might be the single most important idea in all of this. Your result, it's simply a weather report for your mind. It is not your identity. And just like the weather outside, your inner state can and absolutely will change. Realizing that is so empowering. So, once you have that mental weather report, what do you actually do with it? Let's talk about how to turn these insights into real, meaningful action, starting with what happens for most people. Getting a mixed profile. So if you take a quiz and your results come back all mixed up, please don't think it's an error. That's not it at all. In fact, it's the most common outcome because, let's be honest, modern life is complicated. We have all these competing demands and pressures pulling on our state of mind. Check out these two classic mixed profiles. On the left, you've got sattva plus rajas, which I call clarity with drive. You're super effective, you're getting stuff done, but you might feel really guilty when you try to rest. Then on the right, you have rajas plus tamas, the agitation and shutdown cycle. Oh man, this is that all too familiar pattern of high stress stimulation followed by just collapsing on the couch and doom scrolling for hours.
There's also a third common mix, sattva plus tamas. This one can look like a state where you feel pretty peaceful and calm, which is great, but you just lack the motivation or the drive to get things moving. You'd much rather stay comfortable than take action.
Okay, now for the best part, turning all this knowledge into your own personal path forward. This is where the rubber meets the road, making small, practical changes that actually make a difference. Here's a super simple four-step process. First, just see your result as your current operating system. Second, and this is a big one, don't try to change everything at once. Just pick one thing, like maybe your evening screen time. Third, match your actions to your tendency. And finally, check back in. Retake the quiz in 6 to 10 weeks and see what's shifted. So, for example, if your mental weather report shows high rajas, a lot of activity and restlessness, your goal is to downshift. Instead of pushing even harder, try focusing on a longer exhale to calm your nervous system. Maybe choose slower forms of exercise and consciously cut back on stimulation in the evening. And if tamas, that inertia, is high, the goal here is gentle activation. The whole game is just to build a little momentum. Try just 10 or 15 minutes of gentle movement first thing in the morning. Do it before you even think about feeling motivated. A fixed wake-up time can also be a game changer. Remember, small, consistent actions beat one huge forced workout every single time. And what if you find yourself in a balanced sattvic state? That's amazing. The work here is simply maintenance. Just focus on keeping your rhythms consistent and maybe watch out for becoming a little too rigid or perfect about it. Remember, the goal is balanced, not perfect.
You know, when you boil it all down, this whole framework isn't about slapping a good or bad label on yourself. The real power, the real magic, comes from using it to replace that harsh self-judgment with simple pattern recognition. Because once you can see the pattern, you can make a different choice. So I'll leave you with this question. Just checking in with yourself right now. What's your mind's weather today? Is it clear and sunny? Is it stormy and agitated, or is it kind of foggy? And based on that, what is just one small, kind change you could make to support yourself?